Okay, so first thing we're going to talk about in this section is lecture. So I feel like this is the hardest thing to wrap our heads around in an emergency as we go from teaching face-to-face to teaching online. There's so much that happens in that face-to-face environment. How do we give students the information they need when we don't get to see them every day? So before we actually talk about the tools that you have at your disposal, I think there's some things to keep in mind here. So number one, normally when we meet with students in a face-to-face environment, we have a giant block of time that we have them together. So talking to them for that time is totally doable, right? In an online environment, the learning the students have to do is very different. Their attention span is much shorter. So even if you want to do a lecture video and you're normally used to doing it for 45 minutes, having your students watch you for 45 minutes in an online environment is not awesome. Some of you have already been in here with me for 2 hours watching what I do, and you're probably already sick of me. Like, it's hard. It's hard to keep track. It's hard to keep up. And it's hard for you guys to go that long. Like, I've been talking for 2 hours straight and I'm already like, I need water. I need, I need this and that. So it's not only for your students, it's for your own health benefits as well. So I think what to stress here is we're not saying, because I know there was definitely some Faculty Plus emails I saw on this, we are not saying don't give them 45 minutes of content or don't give them an hour and 20 minutes of content. What we are saying is if you are going to lecture, whether it's recorded or live, you need to break it out into chunks that are digestible by our students, kind of like you would in class. Even if you're going to talk for 20 minutes, usually you have some point where you stop, questions are being asked, clarification is given, and that's going to look very different online. So for lecture, we are going to talk about two things, synchronous and asynchronous. So some of this is going to be review if you were in the last session, and then some of it we haven't talked about yet today. So I'm going to share my screen again. And all right. Still saying it's doing it. Can you guys give me a thumbs up if you see my screen? Thank you. All right. So what you see right now is the Keep Teaching website. And this time we're under the lecture tab, since this is what our first topic is. So the things that we've already talked about last session, I'm going to review again. These are your synchronous options. These are live. And if there's anything from a technology standpoint that would probably drive you the most nuts, it's going to be the live. It's managing a lot of people, but also managing the technology. And usually you're good at managing the people because that's what you do. What you don't have to usually do is do what we're doing right now and help people get online and make sure you're sharing your screen correctly and making sure people are paying attention. That's a lot harder to do in an online environment. So we're recommending two products at this moment, and then I'm going to talk about the third product that I think you'll hear more about shortly. So the first one's Google Hangouts Meet. This is where we are right now. It's very basic in a good way, but it's also one where all your viewers have the same control. So if you don't want them to have control, then this might not be a good product for you. Please don't do this, but technically you all could stop my recording right now, but please don't. You guys could all share your own screen, but please don't. But that's the kind of equal opportunity we have here. The other thing to keep in mind in a live online environment, as we are doing right now, is now that we have more specifics in terms of what is happening, both on campus and then around the world, we are all right now, I'm assuming, in the Eastern time zone. We are now not in a position to think all of our students are in the same time zone as us. You're going to have them spread all over the country and all over the world. So doing something live online together has now become harder, partly from a time zone perspective. So you have to keep that in mind too. Like, how equitable is it that you do something at 10 in the morning your time, and that's in the middle of the night for someone else? So keep that in mind. I'm not telling you to do that or not to do that. I just think that's another thing to think about that we didn't necessarily have to think about last week. Also, in a live online setting, as we are doing now, technology issues are now greater. Now that we know students aren't here on campus where the internet is fantastic, they are now spreading again all over the world and all over the country. Their access to quality internet is now a lot less. You are also, because some of you are in this position, talking about students, because this is the example I keep bringing up, who have now gone home and have other family obligations, like babysitting siblings who are out of school, than they did on campus. When they're on campus, you have their undivided attention. And now their attention is going in a million different directions now that they're not here. So again, online is great. Office hours, small group meetings, maybe every once in a while is a great check-in, but it might end up increasingly being more difficult than you might have imagined initially. So again, you have options if you want to do this. Google Hangouts Meet, Canvas Conferences is the other one that we were talking about. Actually, let me back up. Let me show how to get into Google Hangouts Meet again for those that weren't here last session. So you should see my Canvas calendar, or not my Canvas calendar, my Google Calendar. If you want to do a Hangouts Meet, as we are doing right now, there's two main ways to start it. Number one would be through your calendar. Anytime you create anything in your calendar, as you're probably used to doing, if you click on Add Rooms, Location, and Conferencing, if you select that conferencing option, you have now got a Google Hangout Meet link that you can now share with anyone you want to join you. Because this is a calendar, you can also add guests. If I want to add Nadia, now I just created a meeting for both of us to join together. So you can either add your students or just give them the link that's from your calendar. In both cases, it works just fine, okay? That's one way to do it. The other way to do it is whenever you are in any of your Google products, you should see this batch of dots that look like a square. This is called a waffle. If you scroll down far enough, eventually you're gonna find the Meet icon. It's green, it has a camera in it. If I click on that, I'm gonna end up on this page. And you can see the Canvas Bootcamp that we're in right now. That's the session that's going on. So anything from your calendar will show up there, or you can join or start a meeting on the fly, and you just have to give it a name and you can go. A thing to know about that I shared in the last session is you need to be creative in how you name the session, because if you do it generically, like call it test, as I have done, then anyone else who wants to call it test from FNM, so you don't have to worry about the world, but from FNM will join you. And it was very alarming the first time that happened. So be creative if you wanted to do this. Also remember, Google Hangouts is a great tool that you don't even have to have anyone in here with you. You can do this by yourself, but still record it. And now you have a recording. So if there's one tool if you want to learn one thing, pick one of these tools and use it both for your live and your recording session, because you can do that with this one and Zoom, which we'll talk about in a second. So that's Google Hangout. Pros and cons to all of these. Your other one is going to be Canvas Conferences. So let me jump into the Canvas course. So to do Canvas Conferences, it's actually a pro and a con, depending on how you want to look at it. But the only people that can join you in a Canvas conference are those that are in your class with you. Just to answer Elizabeth's question that I saw pop up, you cannot I think you can reuse a link. Like technically these people today are coming in and out of the session as they feel. So I think that link is going to be done through your Google Calendar. And if you call a session the same in the typing thing, if you recall it the same thing, you might be able to join back together. Because I think that's what we're seeing happening if they call it test. So Canvas Conferences, I'm in Canvas, I click the conference button. Only the students and others that are in this class can join me here. So that's kind of a plus or a minus. Like anything else that's Canvas, if you want to create one, you're going to click plus whatever the tool is. So I'm going to say plus Canvas or plus conferences. You can name it. This is the tool that it is. It's called Big Blue Button. It's like a outside thing that Canvas brings in. You can set a duration on it, or you don't have to. You can enable recording, or you don't have to. You can give it a description, and then by default, you're inviting your entire course. Or you can say, I just want to invite individual people, and then you can invite people for a one-on-one. In Canvas, the only people that can start a Canvas conference is you as the instructor. Unless you put them in groups, which was our session earlier today. If they are in groups and they have their own little group area, then the group can also start a Canvas conference. Go ahead.
Kelly, so what do you mean a conference? This will be like a live Google chat with your whole
very similar to what we're doing here, just with another tool. Yep. So the pros of this tool is it also has a whiteboard that's built in, if that matters. It also has polling, if that matters. And the way the polling works in Google Conferences is you have to verbalize your question. So you have to say, is the sky blue? Yes or no? And then you would select what their response options would be. So is it yes, no, true, false, A, B, C? They would be able to poll by selecting one of those options, but the question you actually want to ask them in polling has to be verbalized by you. So that's how polling works. But it does the same thing we're seeing right now. Captures your screen, there's chat, video, people can call in if they don't have decent internet. But remember, if people call in, then they're going to lose the visuals that we get by being together online right now. So this is Canvas Conferences. So if I want to just invite Cindy as a one-on-one, I'm going to set this up and I'm going to say update. And then you're going to see here's what I just set up. As the instructor of this course, I have to start the meeting before anyone can join me. So I would click start. And then when Cindy goes in as my student, she would see a join, and then she can click join. The other negative about Canvas Conferences, if this even matters to you, is if you record it, the recording only lasts for 14 days. And it's not something you can download and do something else with. So if recording a session matters, this is probably not the best tool for you. But if all you really are trying to do is small group meetings or office hours or whatever, and there's no reason to record it, then this might be a great option.
Kelly,
Yes, Bob.
I have a question. You've mentioned the whiteboard feature. As a mathematician, that's something that might be very useful to me. Do you have time to just briefly talk about that?
So I've not done this in a live session, so bear with me. I'm going to try to start a Canvas conference, but I feel like I'm Canvas conferencing in a Google Hangouts, and I feel like this could be messy, so be patient. Okay. I'm going to listen only, just because I don't want sound issues. Oh boy. I might have some crazy feedback here. Okay, can you guys hear me okay? Okay, this is the inside of a Canvas conference. So I just started one.
Okay.
This is another one. Feel free to play with it before you get students going in here. It's similar to what we're doing, but obviously you see it has a huge difference in the way it's laid out. I have a laser pointer here. I'm not sure if you can see that with my mouse.
Yeah.
Right now it's just me in there. This is where I can start the recording up here. Students, or I have some ability for like a pencil and a rectangle. Let me turn on a whiteboard. Hold on, my phone is now ringing. Hold tight.
Kelly,
I can share my screen down here.
Kelly,
I can click the plus sign. I can upload a presentation. So if I want to preload something, I can do that. Trying to find my whiteboard here.
If you go to slide 2, I think you have the whiteboard.
Yes, thank you. There it is. Okay, so down here, I went to slide 2, so I can have now a whiteboard. I have some options here, like a pencil and whatnot, so I can do that. I think with this one, you can give your students the ability to join you on the whiteboard or not. So if you want to not have them interfere, you can do that. You can still chat like we're doing in Google Hangouts. You can do that kind of feature. The polling happens down here. So I can start a poll, but remember, this is the one where I have to verbalize it. So I would say, is the sky blue? And then I would give my audience the options of yes or no. And then on their screen, they'd get a pop-up that says, oh, yay, Cindy came in. And Megan, thank you guys. So I asked, is the sky blue verbally? They can come in and say yes or no. It would kind of push a pop-up to their own device where they can select. And then if I want to share the results with the class, I can do that. And you can see down here on my whiteboard, it put the results of the poll, which didn't actually happen. So that makes sense. So you can see where it's very different, but the same. Is this as mobile friendly as, say, Google Hangouts? Probably not, because it's kind of buried into Canvas. But this is also a good thing where I think a lot of students already have the free Canvas app. But this is also something you might want to definitely encourage as we get back together to be like, if you don't already have the Canvas app, please do. But yeah, that would be probably another negative on my end. I would find this less mobile friendly. Not that it's impossible, but I feel like this would be much less mobile friendly than like a Google Hangouts, which is built for other things.
Kelly, I did join via my phone so that I was not trying to join two different Hangouts on my computer. And it seems to work okay, but the screen is very tiny. So like that whiteboard is itty bitty. It's only taking up like a quarter of my screen on my phone. So that's something to keep in mind. You might be able to like talk to them this way, but don't use small text.
I do see students frequently using Canvas on iPads, so they might be able to see
the app would be very handy on there too. And there was actually a Canvas teacher app that you may never have used. But if you don't have that, that's separate from the general Canvas app. I think the icon is the same, the red circle, but it's yellow for teachers. What's nice about that one is if you do have like a tablet or something, you can actually use the speed, we're getting way off topic here, but you can actually use the speed grader, Apple Pencil, all that to really mark up stuff in a very familiar feel. So that is totally off topic. So this is what Canvas Conferences looks like. And then as Megan just chimed in, it's doable mobily, but it's definitely not made for mobile quite as robustly as like a Google Hangouts or as our next one, which is Zoom. So I'm going to get out of this one.
But Kelly, I'm sorry to interrupt again, but
okay.
So on Canvas, if you have a, I don't know, whatever it's called, video chat or whatever, let's say a student asks a question, will their screen pop up the way it's doing here in Google Hangouts?
It would be very similar. Like you can, all three of these tools we're going to talk about are going to happen similarly, where every person who's in there can kind of tailor their view as they see fit. So if they find that videos are intrusive and they'd rather see like the person sharing their screen in a bigger format, they can do that. But think of it very similar to what we're doing now, where videos kind of get to the side as they are now, or they become smaller as more things are happening. And then, yeah, if someone's talking, you can always click on them to see their video better, or some of these products will actually auto put the person talking in the middle or bigger or anything like that.
And specifically in Canvas, like some of the, well, probably most of the time I'll be talking, so they would presumably want to be able to see me. And I might, one option I considered is just holding like a pad up to the screen, with some equations on it. On the other hand, if a student is asking a question, I want to be able to, see their face, and I want other students to be able to see their face.
Can you see the Canvas Conferences again?
Yeah.
All right, so I didn't start my video in the last one just because I feel like I'm running so much stuff right now. I didn't want to bog anything down, but I started my video this time. So if other people started their video, they would also be like a little, again, we're talking Brady Bunch, but not as robustly as Brady Bunch, but everyone will have their little box that their video will pop up in. So similar to how we can see each other in Google Hangouts, we can see each other in this one too. So it's just them sharing their camera, like turning on their camera or not.
Okay.
Bob, I just wanted to reply. I mean, I'll be showing a lot of equations too, and I'm not thrilled with like showing a document on the camera because people have different resolutions. So, I mean, I'm going to use a Microsoft Surface and just ink directly to the Surface and broadcast that. But otherwise, I would probably like latex some equations ahead of time because like showing an equation like on paper is pretty inconsistent with different like devices.
So I think this also goes back to which we will get into here in a second, is this is where a live situation might not be great. You doing equations as a video recording that they can repeatedly watch to really understand your content might be a better idea, and then use the live sessions as a way for them to like ask questions or check in or do something a little different versus what you would normally do on your whiteboard or your chalkboard.
Okay.
Okay. So the other one I do want to talk about, I am getting out of here officially now, is Zoom. Last week, there was a lot of questions about what about Zoom? Because everyone knows about Zoom. So part of the reason we don't have Zoom here is because you can do like 95% of it for free anyway. But this is one of these products that in the last week was like, okay, any school affected by COVID-19 can apply for premium access to this tool, fill out all this paperwork, and we'll get you going. So because this is something you guys have been really interested in, and because they're going to give us free premium access, ITS has been working on getting that paperwork done so that it lifts some of the restrictions. And the biggest restriction was if you wanted to do a recording, the recording only lasts for 40 minutes or can only be as long as 40 minutes, which really fits most people's needs anyway. So I feel like information on this tool will be coming soon, and then we can do more targeted training on this. But if this is something you are interested in playing with, because this is very mobile friendly, hopefully it can work in China, as we already talked about. This is something you can already sign up for a free account, use your F&M email. That way, when we do finally get the single sign-on, like you'll be in the same kind of thing. Go ahead and start a free one, play with it, just be you in there, or invite one of your coworkers if you want to play with it together to see how it really feels. But all the stuff we were just talking about with the Canvas conference and with Google Hangouts, it's all very familiar things. Like we're talking about very similar options in all three of these tools. You're just gonna have to pick and choose which one you like the best, which one you're most comfortable with, which one fits your students the best. But you do have three great options for live online sessions, which again, are great for office hours as well, not just lecture. And a lot of them you can use to record lecture. If you really like the way a tool works, then go ahead and record like a video you can share with them as well, which is kind of the direction we're heading in right now.
And
So,
Kelly,
yep, go ahead.
for Zoom, where do those recordings go?
I think when you stop a recording, it actually takes a second to process it directly on your screen. So you can't like go away like you can in Google Hangouts and eventually it'll go to your email. If you're leading it and you're doing the recording, you actually have to let it process. And then I think you have the ability to download it directly there, or if you log back into your account, that recording should be something you can always re-download.
Is it something that would be accessible to the participants in the meeting as well automatically through Zoom, or will it need to be sent to them in some way?
I think the leader of the session is the one that gets recording, so then they would have to share that recording. Yep. So what you should see on your, yes, Heidi said the contract's been signed. So I feel like either today or tomorrow, we're going to get more information on Zoom, because I think their next step is to figure out the single sign-on process so we can all easily access it. So once I think that's completed, we're kind of good to go there. But if you want to play with a free one now, please do. So the other thing back on our Keep Teaching website to be mindful of is a speed test. So we've kind of already talked about how live things can potentially be really hard, and some of you are even experiencing this in here today, how this can be hard depending on the internet level that you have, that your students have. So what we have in the Keep Teaching site is a speed test link. It's just a very simple speed test. It takes like 30 seconds. It's going to determine how fast things can be uploaded, how fast things can be downloaded. And then this one at the end will basically say, okay, your internet speed is this. This is good for like gaming and webinars and stuff like that. That's good. Or it might say for general internet browsing, which is probably not going to be great for anything live and streaming as we're doing right now. So that's something you can also share with your students if you're worried. And then what we haven't talked about yet today is all the asynchronous options for creating content. So asynchronous is not live. This is going to be some sort of recording that you share with your students. They have the ability to watch it in their own time, and then you can come up with activities to kind of group people back together around your topic. So this list right here is much bigger than what you see for the synchronous options. And these all, again, have their pros and cons. I would not do all of them, but I would pick and choose which ones work best for you, depending on what you're trying to do. So I'll quickly kind of go through how they're all the same yet different. So Canvas video, if you came to any sessions last week, this is a really quick and easy way in your Canvas course to make a video that is just you on your webcam giving information. You're not sharing your screen. It is not fancy. It is just a really quick recording. So I'm going to go to announcements again in Canvas. We did this earlier this morning. What I'm looking for is whenever, as the instructor, I'm in Canvas and I see this toolbar here, which you see anytime you edit, if I click on this play button that says record upload media, it's going to trigger my webcam. I can do a quick recording, and then this goes directly into wherever I'm in right now. What's great about this is it's going to create the human interaction, which is what we're worried about at this moment. It's really easy to do, and it's a great way to add inflection to your voice, maybe clarify directions. So type your directions, but this might be a good way to reinforce them verbally as you would do in your face-to-face class, right? So that's one way to just do a very quick video. That's our first option. The second one, QuickTime, this is only good for the people who have Apple devices. So if you're a Windows computer, you are not a QuickTime user, so that one's already out for you. What's nice about QuickTime is if you are an Apple user, you already have it on your computer, and you can always contact ITS Help Desk and they can help you with any of this. The other thing I find that might be powerful for you if you are a QuickTime Apple user, you also have the ability to connect your iPhone or iPad to your computer with just the charging cord. And if you have a specific app, so again, my math people, if you are already doing this kind of stuff or you already have what you like, you actually can do a recording of your external device as long as it's connected with the apps you already like, with your Apple Pencil, that kind of stuff, and actually get that as a recording and a video that you can then add, share with your students. So that's QuickTime. The next two options are great for both you and your students. So if this is something where you want students to make a video, maybe a video from a project they might have done, a group, if you want them to do a reflection or anything like that, these two tools are free to them too. Screencastify would be a Chrome extension. So this is going to be part of your web browser. Very easy to click it. It captures your screen. It puts a little video of you in the bottom corner. You can annotate your screen. You do have a 5-minute video length, but I want to say that might be altered. Again, these tools are giving us more access because of what we're going through right now. But again, if we're chunking our videos into segments, then maybe 5 minutes is all you need. Or if you really don't want students to go over 5 minutes on a project, maybe say, please use this so you can't go over. Screencast-O-Matic is similar. You go to the website, it's a very light little download, and you can record your webcam, you can record your screen, you can do both at the same time, and I'll show you where you can see examples of both of these in a second. Both of them are very easy to get in Google Drive. Both of them are very easy to download to your computer so that even when your video is done, you still have the ability to do with it whatever is best for you and your students. And then the last two are very similar. And these I really only recommend if you already do this type of stuff. But if you are a PowerPoint user or if you are a Keynote user, those products also both have voiceover capability. The problem with both of them is you have to save them both as a movie. You can't just voice over a PowerPoint and give people a PowerPoint because not everyone has PowerPoint, not everyone has Keynote. You have to put it in a format that everyone can view, and your directions for that are here. At the bottom here, if you haven't looked at Keep Teaching in a while, this I put up on Sunday. These are videos that I made showcasing a couple different things. Number one, the how to add a video to your Canvas course that's saved on your computer. So these 3 videos are how to take a video that you've made and now get it back into your students' view. But I also use, so for this one, I actually use Screencastify to make it. So if you want to see what a Screencastify video looks like and you want to know how to do this, then this is a video. The second one, say you made a video and now that it's in your Google Drive, now how do you share it with students? And this video I made with a Screencast-O-Matic tool. So if you want to see what that type of video looks like. And then the third one is how you have a video, how do you add it to YouTube, and then how do you get a YouTube into your Canvas course? So that's going to be your best option for accessibility because YouTube will auto close caption. We had this conversation in an earlier session today, and not to alarm you, but there's a potential that some of our international students, when they go home, Google products are now not accessible to them because their government is actually blocking them. YouTube is owned by Google, so YouTube might not be the best option. You guys know your students and who you have, so I feel like you can make that judgment. Also means Google Drive, it might not be a great option. There's definitely workarounds for this that will communicate as we figure it out. Your best option might actually be how to add a video to your Canvas course that you have saved onto your computer. Please don't worry about storage in your Canvas course. It has been upped to an insane amount and we can up it manually even more. So do not worry about how much you have in there. Just go to town. Because content matters and storage does not.
Forgive me for interrupting. It's Olga. Quick question. These tools, these video tools that you've presented, do the students need to download programs on their end to watch any of these videos that we're uploading?
So if you add your video, that's a great question, Olga. If you add your video to your Canvas course using one of these 3 methods that I put down here, no, because all 3 of these I don't even know what I just clicked, we'll take it. All 3 of these methods have a player built into them. So when you add it to Canvas, they literally can play it from right where they are in Canvas. They don't even have to download the video to view it.
Great, thank you so much.
Mm-hmm. All right. So any other questions about lecture options, both synchronous and asynchronous? All right, it's a lot to digest. So the other part of this particular session is going to be organizing our content, which I feel like is kind of going in a different direction. But if we think of it in the context of we just created lecture, how do we organize that with the rest of our stuff? So I'm actually going to jump. Hold on, I want to. Okay. A lot of what I'm going to say in this next part in the Keep Teaching is actually going to be referenced in the file distribution area, because this is where we talk about Canvas modules and where we talk about Canvas pages. For the most part, I'm going to talk about modules right now because it's the only place in Canvas where you can mix and match all your content together. This video right here is actually a video I made for a summer institute that we did on this topic. So a lot of what I'm going to say, you'll also be able to rehear in this video here that's under the files area. So I'm going to jump into Canvas and I'm just going to go to the home page so it looks fresher. All right, so blank Canvas course. Some of you guys already have content. So what I would caution, or at least think very much through is if you already organize your stuff in Canvas in a very specific way and your students are used to it, don't rock their world right now by moving everything around. But if you're someone who doesn't have a ton of content in Canvas, and you do need to start putting stuff in there and organizing it, then this is great. If you think your students can handle it, or if you think you can do this kind of like tell them, don't look at Canvas the rest of the week, I'm reorganizing it. And as long as you kind of reintroduce the layout of your course to them, almost like you do the first day of the class, then just kind of keep that in mind too. So I'm in Canvas. I'm going to click on the modules button. Think of modules as a binder that you probably got when you were in school. And within that binder, you had tabs that separated it to subjects or chapters or units or whatever, Trapper Keeper style, right? So a binder is what a module is. It's a way to organize stuff in packets to keep things very linear, so your students kind of know exactly what to do next because you kind of lined it up for them, and you can separate them into separate things, okay? As I said earlier, Canvas is the only area, or modules is the only area in Canvas where you can mix and match your stuff, okay? So a lot of what you see here as your Canvas menu, a lot of these items can be added into modules so that they see things in the order you want them to see them without having to click around a ton. So in the modules area, we have plus module. Think of plus module as that tab's title. So if you're thinking binder again, what does that tab in your binder say? Okay. So I'm going to go super basic here, and I'm going to say week 1. The way you organize this can be done however you envision it. A lot of times when people organize their content, they do it by week, which is actually very common in online classes. They do it by unit, by chapter, by topic. But I feel like since we're mid-semester, you kind of already know how you organize your stuff. And that's the kind of language you want to mimic your language in your online course, so it's very familiar to your students. So week 1 is the title of that folder or the title of that tab in my binder, okay? So now I need to put stuff in there. So once I have my tab created and I click this plus button, I'm going to click this drop down so you can see all the things. So assignments, quizzes, files, pages, discussions are the same items you have on the left of your Canvas course, right? These are the items that you can mix and match and bring into your modules area. So if I have, let me say a file, because that one's simple. I'm going to say file. I want to give them a file. If they click on files in your Canvas course, it's that typical file tree format. Things are organized alphabetically unless you subdivide them more. In here, you're actually saying, this is the file I want you to look at right then and there. If the file already exists in your Canvas course, you'll actually see it here. Since this is a blank course, I don't have anything. Or if it's a new file you want to give them, you can actually upload it directly from here. So let's see what I have. I'll pick this one. And I'm going to add the item. Okay, so you can see I have a file. Here's the name of it. It's a PDF. This is what I want them to do. But now I'm thinking I want them to read this file, but then I actually want them to do a discussion on that file. So I'm going to click my plus sign again. And from the drop down, I'm going to say discussion. And this is the one that we created earlier this morning if you were here. So I can select that since it's already created and bring it in. Or I might want to create a new one and say week 1 reading discussion. And now I've just created a discussion that they can do. If I want to add more details to the discussion, which you probably do, you can always click on it and then get into edit mode so that you can add more details, okay? Jump back into modules. So if you're newer to Canvas, the other thing to point out here is Canvas, you publish and unpublish, you publish your course as a whole. That's what got your students into your course in the beginning of the semester. You can also publish and unpublish individual items. So when you are working in modules, you can see the file, it published it automatically, which is why you see the green check mark. The discussion, it did not. And the title of the module, it did not. So technically right now, if a student came into my modules area, they can't see any of this because the title of the folder or the module I'm giving them, week 1, hasn't been published. So you have to publish the title for them to see what's in the title, okay? So I would have to go through and publish these things by clicking the check mark and making it green, and now my students can see everything. The other thing to note in here is the icons that kind of also indicate to your student what individual items are. So since this was a PDF that I uploaded, you can see it has a little paperclip icon to indicate that it's a file. Because this is a discussion, it put the little discussion icon in here to indicate that it's a discussion. Quizzes have its own icon, like assignments have their own icon. So now visually, you're also telling your students what matters in terms of it requires an interaction or what's just a piece of information you need to give them. The other thing, and this is going to depend on how visually you want to deal with things, if you think of this as an outline view, if you click on the dots, you also have the ability to indent things. So if you visually look at this with the indenting, it's now visually kind of telling your student that this document, that this discussion goes with that document because it's something you have to do the document first in order to jump in order to be prepared to do the next item. But this becomes a giant scrolling list of stuff that they have to do, but it's in an order that is logical to them. If week 1 has been completed, they can technically collapse that view so that they can still concentrate on what's coming up next. This is a very basic, like, blank course. So let me try to show you something that has a lot more stuff in it. All right, so this is a course that I taught a few years ago at a different institution. So this is a module area that has a lot more stuff in it so that can give you an idea of what modules can potentially become. So again, you have your header, you have items, see the different icons. For some reason, quizzes are rockets. I have no idea why, but they're a rocket. Canvas pages, which we haven't talked about, is a way for you to give information, but doesn't require them to interact with it or submit anything. So we can go into that in a second. You can also do what's called a header. So you can even subdivide your stuff even more by putting another like underlying item in your greater item of week 1. And now you have another module, week 2, similar layout, scrolling. Do you see how this is a logical sequential order and your students don't have to click all over the menu over here in order to know what to do? Okay. So back in our Canvas course, I'm going to open up our week 1. So to get that subheader feel, again, by clicking, everything's going to happen in this plus button. So assignments, quizzes, files, pages, discussions. Text header is what was subdividing it even more. It's something you can add. I say due by Friday. It's not clickable. No one can click on it. It's just a way to kind of subdivide your stuff even more. So now I can even grab on the dots and drag and reorder things. So maybe due by Friday is actually this week 1 discussion. And I can kind of list everything I want due by that time period. I'm not sure, again, any communication you guys may have received from like the accessibility office or anything like that, but anything you can give students, especially in this moment of transition, anything you can give them that is in a list view, I think really will help them understand what they really need to do without having a ton of interference from you in terms of like, do this, do this, do this in a face-to-face environment. So the other thing I want to point out in this space is also Canvas pages. So I'm going to click the plus. From this drop down, I'm going to select page. I don't have one yet, so I have to say new page. And I'm going to say week 1 readings. I'm going to reorder it so it's up here. And now I'm going to click on it so I can edit. say edit. So pages in Canvas, again, are that blank space where you can give them a ton of information, but they don't necessarily have to do anything in terms of like, there's nothing to submit, there's nothing to reply to. And this is a great place to mix and match a lot of information. So you already titled it when you made it. You have your editing toolbar. So again, feel free to click here and make a video if you'd rather do that. And then you have this whole space here to add content. You don't have a bunch of options down here because it's not an assignment or anything interactive. So this works really great for doing stuff like week 1 readings. And instead of giving them every file individually, you can come in and make a bulleted list of stuff so that it's in a nice package for them. So I might want to give them that one. I might click enter, make a new bullet. Now I need to upload a new file. So now I'm playing with this links files area. I'm in the files. I'm going to say upload a new file, very similar to attaching anything to an email. I'm going to pick a different one. Let's say upload. Anytime it highlights it yellow, it's now becoming a link. I'm going to do one more. I don't even know anymore. And that one's actually a link to an image. So now I've just kind of given them a package of information to say, here's your week 1 readings. Boom, 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 bulleted list. Okay. I also might want to do a video. So maybe I want to make one from here. Maybe I want to do one from YouTube. If you want to do anything from YouTube, let me try to find something here. Actually, let me go to Keep Teaching and click on one of these because these are actually in YouTube. Okay, so anytime you want to share like a YouTube video, this is the example one I was telling you about for how to add a video to your thing. Pause myself. All I need to do is come up to the top and grab the link of the video. When I come back into Canvas, and you can do this anywhere in Canvas, if I paste in the link, and you might have to click enter, it actually will put the YouTube video directly in here. So now when I say save or save and publish, if you're ready for your students to see it, they have this whole package of information. They have the 3 readings I want them to do, and now they have a video that they don't even have to leave Canvas to view if you choose to go that way. So think of Canvas pages as a way to present a lot of things that they need to do to prepare to do your more interactive elements, whether that's a discussion or a quiz or an assignment or to meet with you. So if you want them to do all this stuff before they even talk to you so that they're prepared, that's where Canvas pages can become really powerful. All right. All right, so we have a few minutes left. Is there any questions about both lecture and or class organization? Another way I've actually seen people organize that you might like too is in the syllabus, wherever you have your syllabus, if you put your syllabus directly in Canvas using the syllabus area, I've actually seen people just put, you know how you usually have an outline of your activities anyway in your syllabus, and then from there, just create links to items in Canvas. So that becomes a very logical order for them as well.
Kelly, I have a question.
Mhm.
It's Olga. I would love to talk to somebody, maybe you, kind of one-on-one on what I'm imagining. What's the best tool to do? What's the best way to do that? How can I talk to you or somebody that can help me? Because basically, I want to. We're at the point in the course where we were spending a lot of time in conversation. So anyway, but we're not going to be able to do it synchronously. So I want to talk to somebody about what I'm thinking about.
Okay.
Yeah.
So a couple options here. So I'm going to jump into the Keep Teaching page, and I'm going to go to the top. At the top here is a calendar of stuff that everyone working on supporting you guys right now is putting things in here. And it's going to be a wide variety of things, and it's going to grow almost on a daily basis. So today, if you're looking to talk to me, today's not a great day because I'm actually literally in here the whole time. However, where am I here? Tuesday? Like Teb has done online office hours So if you would like I'm going to click on this because, okay, so from 3 to 5, if you would like to join him in online office hours, you can click more details and hopefully that he put a link in there. He did not. He did. I don't think he did. He needs to. He should have a link in there so that you can join him. We are all going to try to add office hours as one way to do it. So that's a great way to kind of jump in with like me or Teb or Nydia or Amy, Cindy, Megan, like we're all kind of doing that. So that's one way to do it. And I think that's going to be added to drastically. I feel like this week, we're not in a great position to do one-on-ones unless you join us in office hours. However, I'm envisioning once you guys get rolling next week again, I feel like that opens us up for like the one-on-one, like we're used to doing with you and you're used to doing with us. But I think this week it's going to be more of that office hour drop-in kind of feel. Just because we're all doing different things at the same time.
That's great. That's great. Thank you so much.
So this calendar, again, will change so much. So please just kind of keep checking on it. If you want to add this calendar to your own calendar so that you can keep track of the changes, you can click this blue plus sign down here. And that way that calendar becomes, you can search that calendar. The other way to do it is Cindy Wingenroth in the Faculty Center is trying to send out like a daily update email of what events are happening on a daily basis because we are changing address like every day.
Can I add, this is Amy, can I add a couple of things?
Sure.
Olga, tomorrow, Cindy Wingenroth has some, and this is for everybody, Cindy Wingenroth has added some sessions so that if you just want to check out how this is going to work and be and have Cindy be a student, for instance, or to create a Google online chat and have and be in conversation with Cindy. If you want to try some of this technology out and have somebody to help you see it, Cindy's got she's added some times to the calendar for tomorrow. And I am going to try to add some one-on-one times, 15-minute one-on-one times, where I can help people think about the pedagogy. I'm not going to be very good at helping people think about the technology part of things. So I'll try to add some one-on-one 15-minute slots for tomorrow.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. And I appreciate that pedagogical POV as well. Thanks.
All right. All right, so I'm going to stop this recording